Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Awesome Sunday Show. Connor speaking.
Pat here.
And Pat, this is the second time in a row we have a very special guest. And we're actually going to welcome back to the show. So why don't you introduce yourself, very special guest, and tell us a little about yourself again, just in case.
What's up? It's Dan Szpakowski. What's going on, fellas?
Dan, I know last time you told us a little bit what you do, but why don't you give us like a fresh recap of who you are, like what your hobby is, and why we should follow your Instagram, pretty much.
I'm a photographer by nature. Work in production, not in movies, in mostly TV stuff. But I post all my photos on Instagram, so it's just at Dan Szpakowski.
Nice. So Dan, welcome back. Glad to have you back.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So Pat,
digging this coffee right now.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, Connor made us all a pot of coffee because he's a nice host.
Except for Justin and Robbie because they said no.
Well, they're pieces of shit anyway.
Sure.
Sorry,
Dan, the last time you were here, you talked about how you and your friend started a podcast. Are you still doing that?
Kinda, yeah. It was up, it wasn't. It was up, it wasn't. It's like we're trying to, not that we don't have like the idea for it and everything, is we're just trying to get it more consistently before we actually release anything. You know what I mean? We want to do like a bunch of episodes before we release them because it's not like we can't really get together as often as we want to.
Right, yeah.
So we're trying to get everything together and then
out.
release. Exactly, yeah. So it's more like a series kind of thing, I guess.
I got you.
Still working on it.
All right. So the topic of the day or the night, technically it's 10:30.
Drum roll.
Drum roll is Batman vs Superman. So, Pat, I think
everybody knows how we feel.
Yeah, everyone knows how we feel.
I saved up. I don't know how you guys feel yet.
Oh,
really? I think I know, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I haven't heard you guys talk about it yet. So
all right,
I kind of waited.
So
yeah, we both hated it. Connor, I think, hated it more than me. When we left, as soon as we stepped outside that theater door, Connor freaked out. We saw it in Freehold.
Dude,
he freaked out as soon as he stepped out of that.
Did you guys see it on Thursday night?
Yeah.
He
stepped out of that.
I wish I was with you guys.
That theater after he got out of his seat and flipped out all the way home from Freehold.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish I was there.
I was
unloaded.
so,
I've never seen him so mad in his life.
I mean, I was pretty mad when I saw Contracted, and
yeah, this was even worse.
But this is Batman versus Superman. Batman v Superman. I
It's
don't
worse.
know why they left that S out.
Because Zack Snyder tried making it sound cooler.
They should have left the S in because
it makes more sense.
Yeah, because S starts
not
with
a course
shit. So, okay,
I've been referring to the movie as Batman. I'm not typing when I text to somebody or anything like that. I'm not typing Batman v verse whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
no, I've just been doing BBS.
That works too. I just say, have you seen Batman? That's just the way I refer to it.
Yeah. So okay, so those are our opinions.
Yeah, but it's good that Dan's on because he has a opposite opinion of us.
Yeah, I actually liked the movie. I was into it. I liked it a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I loved it because there were some things I didn't like about it, but there was also like everyone I work with, everyone I talk to, literally hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was no one that was like, not that there was no one that said I loved it, but there was not even anyone that said they liked it.
Yeah.
It was either like they hated it or they loathed it. So I think I'm one of the only people that actually liked it.
You're one of probably like 2 people I know who liked it. Maybe 3.
Yeah, but even like it's still like I've talked to people that feel the same way as you. They liked it, but like there's issues. Like
yeah, I mean I think there's issues, but there's issues with every movie. I think.
Yeah,
I think
true.
I think that a lot of people are really hypercritical of it, which makes sense because it's an epic story.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
a huge
the 2
thing.
most popular superheroes of all time.
Exactly. Yeah. So I know, like, I just think people were really hypercritical about it. Like I just didn't see what was so bad about it.
It's
to be fair, at least in my opinion, aside from all the comic book related stuff, I think it was just a poorly made movie. Aside from the cinematography, that's the only thing.
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
that's
it was
the only thing Zack Snyder does
story,
right.
You mean?
The story was written poorly. The editing and pacing were like all over the place. It was too long. There's really no exposition.
Yeah. Well,
there's no character development really.
It's either there's no exposition or it's all exposition, and it's just like that's really where the confusion comes in.
Let's start here at the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's just go through it.
Okay.
I mean, we're spoilers, obviously, right?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I was
absolutely.
gonna say there's no way we can get into this.
Connor tried doing a spoiler-free review on his couch review, and he spoiled it.
Yeah.
But to be fair, 99% of the movie was spoiled in the second trailer anyway.
True.
Also,
True.
too, I did give them a fair warning. I gave them like literally, this is a spoiler. Turn it off now. So if they continue watching it, if all 64 people continue watching it,
before we actually get into like the whole movie, I think movies like this get a lot of attention, not just because like they're superhero movies and all that stuff, but because obviously it was a comic, so the story was known beforehand. It's just like every time someone they do a screenplay and a movie for a book, almost anyone who's read the book has said that the book was way better than the movie.
Ready to go.
What I mean? They already have them. I know you guys do comics, and every time I have a question about a comic or anything like that, I default to the two of you. I don't follow comics, never did.
right?
You know what I mean? So I kind of went into this just like from a straight movie standpoint, and that's where I think, at least, I guess I didn't hate it.
Well, here's the thing, and I said this before in the couch review too, is that a lot of people that have a problem with like adaptation or certain aspects of a story that didn't make it into a movie or a cut from a movie or changed in a movie is just because like when people say, well, in the comics this and the comics that, I want to make a point that just because something's in the comics doesn't mean it's good. Like there's certain things that they change for movies that work better.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's why they do screenplays. They don't just take the book and make that
exactly
right into a movie. They do the screenplay.
So
there's a lot of things that in books
that don't translate well on the screen.
Yeah. I read a book the other day. It was fantastic. The book was so good, but the way that it was written, the way that it went, how he wrote it, it couldn't be a movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was
because it would be bad, and it would take away from the great story.
There's a lot of like excellent books that people want made into movies, but they're like almost unfilmable.
Exactly.
That's the problem with Michael Crichton books. Is that Jurassic Park is really the only successful Michael Crichton book that's ever been made into a film, or most successful film made by Michael Crichton over a Michael Crichton novel. Mainly because it's Steven Spielberg, but like other movies like Timeline or Congo, those movies were terrible because Michael Crichton, the way he writes his stories, the characters aren't versatile with like their like emotions. They're all pretty much unlikable. So like when you try to change something, sometimes it doesn't work, or if you try to adapt it the way it is, there's no one to really relate to. Yeah. So like exactly. Like some things need to change when it goes to screen.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
It can't
there
be
are
exactly.
some things in the comics that wouldn't work out even on a TV show or in an animated show because either they're dumb or they just wouldn't make sense or work.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't have to be a perfect adaptation, but I mean,
right? Like
there's always
Wolverine's yellow suit that can never work on screen. Ever.
Because it looks ridiculous.
It looks stupid. I like it in the comics.
He ended up looking like April O'Neil or something.
Yeah. Like.
Well, the same thing with like Daredevil's real suit from the comics. It's red leather, and they did it in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, but it looked absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
The one that they use for the Netflix show is great. First of all,
I still have to watch.
It doesn't look like a BDSM, type of gimp suit or anything, and it makes more sense for him to have it like that than fucking bright red leather. That's just one example. Like, not everything translates well from comics to movies or books. To movies
I just
or
think
anything.
that people don't give that enough like notice. Like they're just like, oh well, the book was so much better, the comic was so much better, but like some of the things that they don't.
But they already go in with a preconception of how it's.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I kind of went in with an open mind. I tried to like not let anyone spoil anything for me. I mean, the story in this movie is not the biggest thing. Like, I don't think the story is the movie. You know what I mean? Like,
the biggest draw was just the three characters, like the whole Trinity.
Yeah, I don't think the story ever really would have surprised me. Like, I kind of probably could have guessed what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was kind of
if that was just
very obvious where it was going.
Yeah,
there was not like really any twist and turns.
Their trailer had too much.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's at the point they just didn't care.
They released like 100 different TV spots.
Yeah,
which like 10-second things.
Yeah.
And then Zack Snyder and pretty much most of that producing team from the start, from Comic-Con to now, have literally given away everything in the movie themselves through their various interviews.
Yeah.
And even afterwards, he's still filling in information that probably should have been in the movie.
Yeah.
Which I have an example to bring up later, but
I think I know what you're gonna bring up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you don't, I'll fill in on something else that I read about Zack Snyder later. But I guess if you want to just start with the movie and break it down.
Let's just go through it.
So like,
The opening sequence.
The opening sequence
was literally one of my favorite opening sequences I've ever seen.
Really?
Ever.
With the fight in Gotham, or the fight in Metropolis.
No, his parents.
Oh, his parents. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Bruce Wayne.
That was done well. I
no,
think
see, I
that
disagree.
was so cool.
I think it was done well.
Except until
but
you
what
get to the point
followed it?
with him floating. That was
that
was really weird.
Yeah, that's what ruined it.
Dude, that was so cool. The whole way it was shot, everything about it was awesome.
Yeah.
And forget about the production side of it. Everyone complained about seeing his parents die again. Like everyone was just like why? Like why do I have to see this? Like it's forget about it. Like those are the same people that are complaining about like how in every Spider-Man we see Uncle Ben die. Like they don't want to see it anymore.
Well, to be fair, now they're not going to do it. But
Okay.
I do get it. Literally every single Batman movie ever made.
But that built up. That was that built up everything for his anger. Like it would have been
exactly
weird without
it's
it. He was so
the
mad
reason
the whole
why I
movie.
get it is because it impacts every second of who he is.
Exactly.
Every single one of his
100%.
decisions.
Yeah, 100%. I was glad
I
they
get
started
it.
off with that.
But, that was something known going in, and the reason Zack Snyder decided to include it was pretty stupid. He goes, oh, it's going to pay off later in the movie, which pays off, quote-unquote, pays off when Batman and Superman are fighting. Because
I don't get that.
Because his mother's name is Martha.
Uh,
That's how Zack says it pays off. That does not pay off at all.
No, I didn't even. No, I mean I knew his mother's name was Martha throughout the movie, but I didn't reference it back to that. I was just lost in the way that they did it. Like I was mesmerized. I was like, this
really,
is so
really
cool.
well.
It's visually engrossing. Absolutely.
It was really cool.
But that part
until
where
he started
right
floating.
after where he falls down the fucking
Yeah, he was
50-foot drop
fucking
well and he's
floating.
floating up by
it's really
and he's
weird.
fine, dude.
That was really weird.
He was 8 years old and he falls. It's not.
Yeah.
It like realistically, it was probably like 25 feet. He fell.
Yeah,
That
but
if
the
you
floating thing was really weird.
Yeah.
But still, like
wasn't into
that being that little and falling down that drop, even like now, it would probably still hurt us a
Hell
little
yeah.
bit. But a kid that young would break something.
Yeah, hell yeah.
If he didn't die, he would have a broken neck. Like, yeah. So like, again, I was visually, and that was the main thing that kept getting me mad about the movie was like visually, I was like, this looks good.
Yeah.
But like, it's telling me shit.
Yeah, Zack Snyder's a great visual director. He can't handle a story, can't handle characters well. He's not like an actor's director, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And honestly, I think one of my favorite things about the movie was the way it was shot and all the production on it. They used a different DP in this than they did in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
The DP that was in Man of Steel, I forget his name. It's like kind of a foreign name or something. But he, that was my favorite thing about that movie in Man of Steel because I didn't like anything else. I guess I should just say that out now before we get into this. Like I hated Man of Steel. Like couldn't stand it.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised
you
like this
I
so
don't
much.
really like Superman. I don't really like him. So I think he's a vanilla superhero. So that's why I kind of, I don't know.
See,
I went into Man of Steel like really excited.
Yeah, so was I. I was absolutely thrilled.
Chris Nolan has a writing credit on that movie. I don't
He's
know
a
how
producer.
much.
He's not.
I don't know how much he had to do with it. But I was like, oh, Chris Nolan, Zack Snyder, like they can't
DC,
really
I
go
think,
wrong
just
with
put his
that.
name on it.
But yeah, I kind of figured he didn't really have much to do with it. But yeah, the way that was shot, all the scenes that weren't CG in that movie, like like the scene of him when he's younger and it's just American flag draped on his back, running through like the laundry and stuff in the field.
Yeah,
I thought it's like some of my favorite footage I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's
really cool.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Zack Snyder's a great visual director, and that's because he used to be a cinematographer.
Yeah,
but not every cinematographer can become a great director. Look what happened to Christopher Nolan's
Transcendence. What the hell's his name?
What the hell's his name?
Wally.
that movie
Pfister,
Johnny Depp.
right?
Yeah. I think it's Wally Pfister.
Yeah, he's
a
fantastic.
beautiful cinematographer.
Yeah,
but
his directorial debut hit the ground pretty bad.
Yeah,
I was
bombed.
really excited to see that movie.
Yeah,
and it was really bad.
And like for the CG in Batman v Superman, for having a $200-something million budget, the CG was pretty bad at points.
Yeah,
and
they spent a lot of money. I think they lost money on this movie, even though it made a ton of money. Still,
well,
they spent how much making it? The budget was what?
The budget was
or something like that.
Well, it was originally $200 million, but during production, it bumped up a lot.
Okay, well there you
and
go.
Then
That's
between
a problem.
the production and all the marketing and
how
stuff,
much,
it's close like $500 million.
Yeah, I was going to say they spent double the amount on production they did on marketing. So
and currently, it's making a lot in the box office. It's made like $700 million or something. But right now, as it stands, it's
not
making
successful. Right?
It's $100 million less of a profit than Man of Steel was, and Man of Steel made like 500 million.
Yeah.
Worldwide.
Jesus. Yeah, I
Plus,
think to be successful, they have to make $1 billion on this movie.
it has to be like $1 billion, yeah, for them to consider it a success.
Exactly. Which I don't know, maybe it will. People are still seeing it. I know it had like a huge fall off in the second week.
It had like a almost 70% drop off from first weekend to second weekend, which is huge.
Yeah, the only other movie I was like that was the X-Men Wolverine Origins. I think, right?
Yeah,
it just fell off.
It was
like that huge opening.
Yeah, but this was like one of the biggest drop offs ever.
Yeah, it sucks.
But
that's a bummer, man.
And that's because word of mouth now is like
I think
it
turns people off. There's a lot of people I know that won't see it. They just refuse to see it.
I refuse to see it again.
Yeah, I want to see it again. I'll watch it again for sure.
See, I knew going in, like, saw all their reactions and stuff, but I still like pushed that out of my mind when I went to see it. I was like, I want to give this movie a fair shot.
Yeah.
Even if it's not going to be good, I want to give it a fair shot. I don't want to go in with a negative preconception only to make it worse.
Yeah.
So I did. I pushed that all out, and
I did the same exact thing.
I still got pissed like the entire time. And like the pacing, like I mentioned before, was terribly slow. At one point, I left to go to the bathroom, and I was probably waiting because the bathroom was packed for like 15 minutes.
Damn.
I literally missed nothing.
Shit.
Yeah, and it was ridiculous. And I mean, that's just one of the problems I have. I think the editing was terrible. Like the way, first of all, it was all fade to black, then cut to a new scene.
Yeah, I did catch that. That was kind of weird.
Which I was confused about. I'm like, what is going on with this?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
And then you didn't really get a grasp of like the time frame going from that. You don't know like, oh, is this scene taking place after the past scene? Is it going on at the same time, before, or whatever?
Well, I was confused about that.
It was all over
that
the
was
place.
like a little further into the movie. Past the opening with Bruce Wayne as a kid.
That's when it goes into the fight Metropolis.
Right? Yeah. See, now for me, I hated Man of Steel, but really liked how it just like picked up and
That's
they were
like
in the middle of
fighting.
fighting.
How they
connected
connected
really cool.
that. I thought they
I
did
thought it was really
that
cool
very
how it picked
well.
up like that. I haven't seen a lot of movies like that.
It was a great Jeep commercial too.
Yeah, great. Obviously, that's one of the reasons why I'm indifferent about it. It's a cool idea that they did that, but at the same time, it was just reminding everybody, like, hey, the biggest flaw with Man of Steel was the fact that like Superman is responsible for thousands of deaths too, like
and billions of dollars.
And like I would say trillion. Like, dude, that literally was like he destroyed the city.
Yeah, Metropolis.
It's one of the biggest cities in the country too.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up early. I mean, I was going to bring it up later, but Zack Snyder's been trying to defend that decision. One of the two decision involving a lot of deaths by saying, well, he compared it to Star Wars, The Force Awakens. He said, well,
relax.
The First Order is killing all these people, but nobody's freaking out about that because the First Order is an evil empire destroying planets. Superman is a superhero. I wouldn't be comparing movies
to Star Wars, any of them.
Yeah.
Not only that, but you're comparing a superhero's actions and results to an evil empire's
all sorts
of
responses to that on the internet.
Like, there's no justification to that. And then like I know Batman is killed in all these adaptations and stuff, but this one, it was like his highest kill count probably since the Michael Keaton Batman movie.
How many people did he kill?
A lot. And the thing is,
in what scenes?
This is how
I didn't notice all this killing going on, man.
That chase when he was going after those thugs to get the kryptonite.
Yeah, hold on, wait, we're going too far. Let's
okay.
Yeah,
all right, then let me just make this point. He compared that. He goes, well, Batman wasn't really killing them. He was killing them by proxy. I'm like, somebody goes, what do you mean? He goes, well, he's shooting the cars and making the cars exploded.
Okay, well, he's digging himself into a deeper hole. He's just not answering these questions,
so he's still responsible for he still murdered them.
Yeah,
he shot them with a rocket launcher. He murdered them. He goes, Darth Vader did stuff like that. Again, you're comparing a superhero to a supervillain.
Comparisons.
Because he knows it's.
You can't.
He should just not answer those questions.
He should not open his mouth.
Or he could just say, "This is my creative decision."
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's all you need to say.
That's all you should have said.
It doesn't make sense. If you were comparing to another superhero, sure. Or like if he was comparing to like the Punisher or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a fair comparison. But you can't. They're complete different opposite. Sides of the spectrum. Makes no sense. No sense whatsoever.
But all right, so like just like Pat, I went into the movie. I was like, you know what? Like this movie's getting killed by the critics. I'm like, but like, what's the worst that can happen? I like it, or I hate it, or like, what's the best that can happen? I like it. Oh well, like I've liked movies that people have hated. Like I don't. Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Like a lot of movies people hate.
Yeah. Exactly. So, like that scene with Bruce Wayne getting lifted by the bats and the kid somehow being all right. I was like, that's kind of stupid. But
I didn't like that scene.
Yeah, and I was just like, all right, like I'm over that. So the scene where it's at Wayne Tower and Superman and Zod like knock down the building, and then after the Jeep commercial,
he's running into it.
Yeah, and Bruce Wayne is running into it, which is kind of stupid in itself. But I'm like, all right, he's Batman, like whatever. Let's go. Let's get it on. So he's remember when a building falls, like.
You get into the guy being under the building.
Under the building, yeah. The guy that's pinned. Okay, first off, I guess
they were trying to set that up.
Right,
he plays a bigger role.
But
somewhat of a bigger role later on.
But here's the problem: is that dust is so thick. Like if you watch videos of buildings falling down, or like even like
videos of like the buildings from 9/11.
Yeah, like they couldn't see. Granted, those buildings were much bigger, but when you watch the videos of that where people are walking through that dust. You can't see what's in front of you. That dust, I wouldn't be able to see Pat to my right side.
Oh, you're saying like you didn't like the fact that the guy saw
him
like 20 feet away
while he was pinned down.
Was he that far away from him?
Dude,
he was yelling Mr. Wayne,
and then Bruce ran over that.
Right up to him.
I didn't think I realized that he was yelling it before he got there.
Yeah. It's
know what? Things like that don't really bother me. That didn't bother me when I was watching the movie. I was like, whatever, I guess. And you know what? When they said his name. Like when he said the guy's name, I knew he was going to play a bigger role at some point. There was no reason for him to be there other than that. Like him being in it later on.
That was just so lazy to me. It was like, dude, like you can't even like understand. Like you're not like watching this movie and editing this movie. You're like, that doesn't make any sense. The fact that you can't see anything around you and this guy from far away says your name.
Yeah.
Like, and
maybe there was another scene there that I don't know. I'm trying to justify it for some reason. Like maybe there was another thing that they just cut out for time. That
I'm gonna get to the extended version later, but
which I won't watch.
Yeah, it was just like another.
Oh, there is an extended, like a director's cut kind of thing.
The director's cut that's gonna be released on
like 4.5 hours
June
long?
or something like that.
Probably
it's gonna be 3 hours. Or
okay,
something like that.
I'll watch it.
But even if that's the case, that's just another glaring example of something like that happens at the end of the. Towards the end of the movie, a couple things like that happen, but. One thing I did like about that guy is in the trailers, like when they showed Bruce getting those letters that say, you let your family die, blah, 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 all written in red. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, oh, that's definitely from the Joker because they saw the Robin suit covered in like the same writing.
Yeah.
I like how they made it that guy.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing I like that I actually was a little surprised by.
So this kind of jumps ahead, but I just want to ask, was it that guy?
It was.
Because or was it Lex Luthor?
No, it was that guy because
I had a feeling that later on in the movie, like I know that he opens up one of the letters before like the court case thing, and it's obvious that it's from that guy, but I forget what it was that made me think that it was Lex Luthor that sent a couple of those as well.
Because right after that scene is when, or not too long after that scene is when Lex went to visit him.
Okay.
But when they show him in his apartment and he's got all these articles on the wall, you can see him writing that stuff. And then he wrote it on all the checks that Bruce was sending him that he sent back.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it was him.
So
that's
him.
the one thing I liked how they.
So how do you explain the Robin suit then?
That was definitely the Joker. Zack Snyder has openly said that was the Joker.
Okay, well that's confusing.
Right. Yeah.
That's a little confusing. Anyway, the Metropolis scene. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I liked how it picked up.
I like how they connected the two.
Yeah, I liked
and
it.
like brought in
like
Batman's experience with Superman.
Exactly, like right from the bat.
Yeah, yeah. So, that was fine. There's just so much shit after that.
Yeah,
I don't even remember what happened next.
All right. So like after the Metropolis scene, like they cut from like country to country. Like the way
it was the Africa thing.
That was the Africa thing, but like they go from like 3 different countries or continents within like 15 minutes.
It goes to the scene with Amy Adams over in
and it's like the next like 20 minutes of the movie is like to me was like a kid like spinning a globe and then like landing his finger on a random spot and said this is where the next scene is.
Yeah, that did get a little confusing. I think like I tried to reel myself back into it, trying to like listen and explain, like see where they were going with it. It was a little confusing. I think the whole movie was a little confusing, but I don't think all movies should explain everything perfectly.
But the thing is, it didn't really explain anything.
Yeah.
It's like speaking of like Lois going to that place in Africa or whatever to meet that terrorist, that guy she was with, I didn't find this out till after the movie. It was Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that spy who had the tracker in his camera,
Yeah.
that was Jimmy Olsen.
What the hell?
Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. Like,
Yeah, who's one of like a huge character in the
Yeah.
Superman mythos.
No, yeah.
But you want to know what Zack Snyder? First of all, Jesse Eisenberg auditioned for that role and was supposed to have that role. Then Zack goes, "No, you could be Lex Luthor." But
That's
I'll get
weird.
to.
That's
But the reason that Zack Snyder said he killed Jimmy Olsen is because it would have made the movie too overstuffed to keep him in. This is the most
Did they ever
overstuffed.
say his name in the movie?
No,
Okay.
it was the most overstuffed movie I've ever
I
seen.
feel like
to
they
begin
do.
with.
We just missed it because he
Just like
just
an oversight
dies.
thing, yeah.
I don't think
pretty
he
quickly.
even really said
Yeah.
anything though.
Because
Yeah, he didn't have
like
many
why would you
lines.
remember his name though? He dies in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like
And I'm like, that's just a terrible decision. But it's just funny that he said it would have overstuffed the movie.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And then, like, it doesn't make sense how those guards that Lex hired, Anatoly, whatever, who's actually a KG beast in the comics, is like how they knew that Lois was going to be there and how they knew that Superman would come for her. You know, if I was Lois and Clark, I'd be, trying to keep that on the down low or anything. And it also, like, later on, Lex somehow knows who Clark is, how he's Superman. He knows how he's with Lois,
they didn't really
and how he knows
explain that.
his mom is Martha Kent and kidnaps her.
Yeah, they didn't
That
explain
didn't
that
make
at all.
any sense.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I guess jumping out of order, a little bit. I liked, and I hate in the trailers. I hated the idea of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Hated it. I liked him as Lex Luthor. Didn't like the way that they did Lex Luthor though.
Yeah.
How he was kind of like Jokerish, kind of. I don't
Yeah.
remember him ever being like that.
No,
His
he's
character
not.
ever
He-
being like that.
well, it's
I
Lex
think-
Luthor's son. And Lex Luthor's son in the comics has like long red hair, but he still doesn't act like that.
He's
Yeah,
more
that's what I
like
mean,
cold
like-
and calculated.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't think he should have been like that, but I think Jesse Eisenberg acted well in the movie. He was good at it. I just didn't think that should have been the way it was.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's a very good actor, and for
I
what
thought he
they
was
were
good.
given, he did
Yeah,
well.
I thought he was really good.
But first of all, I don't think they should have went with Lex Luthor Jr. But like the way
Yeah.
he was portraying him was like
What's
a
his
mix-
name in the comics? Isn't it like Alexander Luthor or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like how they portrayed him, like a combination of the Joker and a combination of like the Riddler and stuff. It just didn't make sense. But then at the end of the movie, he's finally like kind of like Lex, except a little more insane. Like
Yeah,
he's
he was crazy.
like
Yeah.
but fierce about it. I mean, which I have
The
got to bring that up too. but-
confusing to me was his first exchange with I forget what the lady's name was, the one who was holding the trial or whatever.
Oh, the senator.
Yeah, the Senate. It seemed so sexual to me.
Yeah.
Like it looked like they were like in on
I
it,
didn't-
like together. Like it was really weird
Yeah.
the way that they interacted.
I didn't put my finger on it until like later.
It was
like
so weird
yeah,
to me.
I
Like, I
felt
thought-
creepy about it, and I
Yeah.
was like, "What? Like, why is this scene so like
There
unsettling,
was so-
but not in a way I
Yeah.
like?" Like, yeah.
The first time they saw each other, I was like, okay, this is just.
I
kinda
didn't get
weird.
why until like now it kind of makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, there was like almost weird sexual tension between them.
Yeah,
It was really weird.
and it was like misplaced. Like it's
just didn't make any sense.
'Cause
It was, like,
they-
forced
because
and-
how they were talking to each other, they clearly like weren't friends and didn't know each
when
other
she
that
was
well.
at his place and they kept going back at it, like I thought they were together. It's for some reason.
yeah, like
just
something was going to happen.
But
But
Yeah.
the conversation they had was like not that didn't make sense to the feeling that they like that it didn't go well with like how it made you
I
feel.
think that whole scene was literally only placed there so you could see at the end with that painting turn upside down,
yeah.
Yeah,
which was cool. The whole scene was kind of
it
weird.
was a
but
nice callback.
yeah,
to
like
it.
that was like one of the only kind of things.
Yeah.
Callback kind of things like that worked out, I guess. But moving on, I guess. I don't know where we at this point.
Yeah.
Well, exactly, because the movie is all over the place.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, and then how like the U.S. government actively gives Lex the Zod's body, and then they give him access to Zod's ship
For reasons.
for reason. I mean, like I
Yeah.
get that Lex,
I
but
guess he's just throwing money.
he's just
them
throwing
for-
money in it.
for
But like
things.
usually, like LexCorp is like a weapons contractor and stuff like that. They get a lot of defense contracts, but in this, it's more like a tech company.
Yeah.
Almost. More than anything, really.
Or a biological engineering company, because weapons manufacturing and weapons and government weapons dealing companies or whatever just get alien bodies. Like, yeah,
True.
Yeah, and I was just like that. I was like, again, reasons. that we just don't know. Like,
yeah.
I definitely could see what you guys are saying about it. The way like it was kind of all over the place, but for me, like it wasn't the story. Like I just wasn't paying attention to it at all. I was like entertained by the way the movie was shot.
And I respect
and just,
that.
Like, everything else that was a part of it. I really liked Ben Affleck as Batman.
I think the cast,
which I knew I was gonna like.
Yeah, the cast performances. The cast was great. You know, Ben Affleck is an awesome Batman, awesome Bruce Wayne, 100%.
Yeah,
I still think Henry Cavill was well cast as Superman.
Yeah, I just don't like
great.
Superman. Yeah, he is a good Superman though.
I just think that the way he was written, he was so stiff, and I think the reason that, it was like kind of awkward at points. Like he was more stiff in this than he was in
you think so?
Superman
I
Returns.
actually liked him. I liked him a lot better.
He was just like
in this.
The way he like the
Man of Steel.
Yeah. I liked him better in this than he was in Man of Steel.
And then like the thing in like some of the stuff he said was just so awkward, and like his delivery and like some of the shit they had him say was just weird. I don't know. And I think like obviously Ben Affleck's a really good actor, and I think the reason his performance outshone pretty much everybody else's is because since as a director, you know, even dealing with that shitty script, he knows what he should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well the script, I'll agree with you guys.
But
wasn't a fan.
Yeah, he did an awesome job in both capacity as Bruce Wayne and as Batman.
Yeah,
I mean he got the look. My favorite thing, I mentioned this like in the trailer thing, was the way he kind of mimicked Batman the Animated Series.
Okay,
it was awesome. Like that smirk he does is like trademark Batman the Animated Series.
I just like the fact that he like right off the bat was just like we're criminals, we've always have been.
Yeah.
And he's just
Jeremy Irons is like
dude, Jeremy Irons is awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah, he was great as Alfred.
Yeah,
I wish he was in it more.
I
actually.
love Jeremy Irons. Him and Tim Curry are my favorite British overactors of all time.
Tim Curry,
awesome. But the thing is though, as much as I love Jeremy Irons, he's like downplayed in the movie. Like,
he wasn't really that
important.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my gosh, like Jeremy Irons, like someone who could like entertain me in a movie that's not entertaining me, and it's like he's good, and he's like actually good in the movie, which kind of pissed me off.
He was really good.
Yeah.
The thing that I'll have to, I guess, question because I was really confused about it. The scene where we'll push past, I guess, the first scene at Lex's place where Gal Gadot's introduced, kinda. We'll push past.
Oh, she's kind of like shows up.
Yeah, she kind of shows up and she takes the thing that he plants.
Well, yeah, that was pretty dumb too. Like first of all, how is Clark Kent not going to know who Bruce Wayne is? He's probably the most, one of the most famous people in all the world.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if it's not like he grew up on Krypton. He was in Smallville since he was like the fucking little kid. He would know, like billionaire Bruce Wayne.
I guess they just
so
had to put that
didn't make sense.
Like Bruce Wayne is a celebrity.
Had to put that in.
Like,
yeah, he's a celebrity, and like that introduction that when Lex introduced the two, or when Clark went up to Bruce about Batman, was fine. It was a little weird, a little awkward, and then like Bruce sees Gal Gadot. Yeah, obviously it's gonna capture your eye. She's gorgeous.
Yeah, he stared at her. He was like, "What?"
Yeah, and then so the way that they were trying to get Lex's data was sloppily done because first of all,
it was sloppily done. They just pushed past through that. Like they just pushed
exactly. Like Superman has super hearing, so he overheard
exactly
Alfred talking to Bruce, and
which was kind of cool.
Which was kind of cool, but that's how he found out Bruce is Batman.
Yeah, I think so.
Which,
I think so, yeah.
if you didn't pick up on that early, you wouldn't have known later in the film when he finally calls him Bruce.
Yeah,
because they never touch upon it again, and then Bruce sneaks downstairs to their server room and it's awkward, pretending to act drunk. Oh, I thought this was the bathroom, and then puts that in, and then somehow Diana knew it was there and stole it, and then couldn't unencrypt it, and that's just one of the major issues I had there. Although Lex giving that speech on stage was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, that was
because
cool.
It was
really
so
was
cringy.
Funny.
I thought it was cringy, which made it funny to me at least.
Yeah. His assistant was weird.
Oh yeah, his assistant.
He
had an assistant.
She died.
Mercy Graves.
She died in the explosion, right?
Yeah, he goes, "Save me a seat," and he lets her die.
Yeah, that was weird to me. I thought, I don't know, that was kind of weird to me.
Yeah, and speaking of that scene, that took place while Superman was, I guess, going to testify or whatever in that council.
Yeah.
He gets blamed for that, but clearly somebody set off a bomb. He's not going to set off a bomb himself.
Well, he got blamed for it quick.
The public blamed for him.
And then, but I mean, he was defended pretty quickly. They said right? Didn't they say like it wasn't him pretty much?
It was, but like the problem I
It
had
wasn't
with that
him, but it was his fault because he was there.
Because he was there, exactly.
Like it was cool. Like there's a conversation. All right, like there's a cool thing about that scene about like the I guess it's a hearing technically. Like that whole building getting blown up. But there's also a thing that really bothered me too, was that like there was a conversation, like the conversation that seemed oddly, weirdly sexual between Lex Luthor and what's her name in the movie?
Dude, I just keep calling her Senator.
Senator, yeah.
Senator. I don't even...
and the Senator,
Finch, I think.
Yeah, and
I think I know where they're going with this.
They bring up like grandma's piss jar or something like that.
Yeah.
And like the conversation was kind of weird, but before the building blows up with all the people in there, you see a jar of piss and it says or the mug,
whatever it is,
whatever it is, and it's like it's a cup of piss, and I was like, oh, that's pretty well done, and then everyone dies, but then I'm like, as cool as that scene was, that was just a quick way to be like, oh, this movie's like politically interesting, and then just easily getting rid of it so they don't have to bring it up again.
Was like how she instantly freaked out. Like maybe he was just like fucking with her, but no, she's like freaking out like something serious is gonna happen.
Yeah,
which it did. And you know that guy, whatever his character's name is with the wheelchair. First of all, that was so obvious that Lex was playing him and using him.
And how did Superman not know there was a bomb on him?
Yeah,
exactly.
I knew
unless it was coated in lead.
Him, but I was still kind of surprised when it blew up because I didn't know.
But if he was coated in lead and you go into a government building, that shit's detectable. There's no way it's not.
Exactly, but you know maybe they're like, oh, he's in a wheelchair. There's nothing he could do.
Yeah,
like there's no reason to check him.
It's just like when everyone died in that scene, I was like, okay, so an interesting story with Superman being blamed and the government wanted to like keep a head on him is now just gone because
it was gone pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like it's just that scene bothered me.
The thing that was weird to me, or at least I didn't like about it, with that whole jar thing, it just reminded me so much of Dark Knight when the judge. If she opens the envelope, it says "look up" and her car blows up.
Oh yeah,
you know, it reminded me so much of that, like her noticing it before, like split second before it happens. Just kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah,
like Joker-ish kind of thing to do.
I know, and I love how Lex just let his assistant die. He's like, "Go save me a seat," and
he
then
doesn't give a shit.
Lets her die.
Who has like no lines in the movie? Does she talk?
She didn't speak once.
No, she
told
caught Bruce downstairs.
The server
She
said something to him. That was it.
Yeah,
I think that was her one line.
Big whoop.
Yeah. Another thing that was like retarded when Lex gets the body, you know, he's inspecting it. And he has this massive block of kryptonite. First of all, the whole thing with the was it the White Russian or the White Portuguese?
Yeah,
was like Batman's like, oh, it's like, you know, it's this crazy thing. It's either this weapon or it's this. It's a ship carrying kryptonite, and it doesn't make sense why Lex was trying to bribe the other senators to let him get it in.
What did they ever say why Bruce was interested in kryptonite? Did he figure out that was Superman's weakness? Like, why was he interested in it?
After he hacked, like, got the drive back from Wonder Woman, he found out about it.
He did.
Well, they didn't show it, right? Well, this is my question I was getting at before. When he has that, like, lucid dream where he, like, he passes out and he's in the desert. That was a dream, obviously, right, in the movie?
Yeah.
Wasn't super obvious that it was a dream until he, like, popped up. It was kind of long.
Mm-hmm.
But what the fuck happened in that scene?
All right.
Either one of you guys explain that to me?
Yeah, so you know how like there's like weird demon creatures flying in that
scene?
Yeah,
and see, that was a thing from comics, right?
Yeah, those are the parademons. Those are Darkseid's.
First of all, they look like shit.
Yeah, they look like crap. Crap is too nice a word. They did look like shit. And so those are the parademons. Those are Darkseid's like lackey soldiers or like whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
So
Darkseid is like the Thanos of DC.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anything, Darkseid actually might be a little more powerful than Thanos.
I mean, in terms of like scale.
Yeah. But or I don't know, that's debatable. Thanos is is almost like a god, but so it also there's a giant, you know, like when Batman steps out and you see that giant Omega symbol in the ground.
Yeah.
That's Darkseid's symbol. That shows that he's been there.
Because it's symbolic. There's like because in the planet of the new gods.
Where the hell is he stepping out of when he steps out into that
I don't
desert?
know.
Is he stepping
out?
Don't
know.
They don't
know if it was like in the desert or if it's a town that was
the Omega
utterly
symbol
destroyed into
is
a
symbolic
desert.
of the end because the Alpha and the Omega.
But that scene, he's going to get kryptonite.
Yeah, at that point, because it's supposed to be in the future.
Who sets him up? Like, kind of in that scene.
You don't even know because
yeah,
the scene itself
that's the only time
like,
I recognized him using a gun.
Yeah.
So people were in an uproar about it, but it was a dream. So did he really?
It was
use
like
it?
It was either a dream or a vision of the future. Either way, I don't agree. Having Batman see visions, that he's never done that before. And second of all, it wouldn't make sense that in that dream he would already know what kryptonite is, unless it's like literally like a vision of the future.
Okay, so when he woke up, who the hell was that reaching out at him?
That was the Flash.
See, someone else said that to me. I thought it was maybe Robin.
Oh no,
that's how I perceived it. Not knowing
a lot of
anything
people
about the
thought
Flash.
it was Cyborg, but it was the
I
Flash.
just figured it was
Ezra
Robin.
Miller.
Robin dead.
Yeah.
Reaching out to him in a paranormal way to warn him or tell him something that he needed to know.
Well, see, the problem with that is
because you can't tell that it's
supposed to be
Ezra Miller that plays the Flash now. You can't tell it's him.
First of all, the suit that he has, it's like a suit of armor. That's retarded. Flash doesn't have that.
Yeah, it's.
But I get.
Has it been confirmed that was the Flash?
Yeah, it was Ezra Miller. Yeah,
just making sure.
Like it, and it's supposed to be a
he
dream
has those
sequence.
Abilities, though, right?
He can time travel, but he can't go into people's dreams. So
so he was awake though, I think.
So
right?
either that was a dream, and for whatever reason Zack Snyder's making that a thing, or after that Bruce passed out again or something.
Well, didn't he wake up and then he saw?
He woke up again. The Flash happened, and then he woke up again. But you don't know if it was like a dream within a dream type of thing.
Okay. We're getting back to Inception.
Kind of, yeah. It's the only time like I've ever seen a movie like pull off like a double dream sequence successfully was an American Werewolf in London. Where he like wakes up and it's like the Nazi like werewolves that come in, and then he wakes up again. It's like a vampire, and then he finally wakes up. It's the only time.
Inception too.
Yeah, but that
whole movie.
But that whole movie is like that.
Dedicated just to that.
And that movie's great. That's actually that's a good movie. So is American Werewolf in London. In this movie, it was done so bad.
That and with him setting up with the Flash coming back like that, his warning is to save Lois. Because that's the key.
She's the key.
She's the key to Superman not going crazy. That's setting up a completely different story that is not Darkseid related. Okay. It's setting up the Injustice story, which Lois dies, and then Superman goes crazy and becomes a world dictator.
Okay.
And then like kills anybody who doesn't fall under him.
The whole thing just screamed Robin to me, just because it showed the Robin suit earlier on, and it didn't look like Ezra Miller. And they showed him right after. No, actually, not right after that.
No,
later on. See, now this is the other thing that a lot of people were mad about is the way that they showed those other characters. Later on,
that pissed me off.
It didn't piss me off at all. I thought it was kind of cool.
See, like it was the way it was introduced because it's like Lex Luthor like
I think
has
the Photoshop
files.
job done on Gal Gadot, like the picture he just stares at of her like back in the day.
Yeah.
Looked a little.
It looked bad.
Yeah, that looked a little shitty. But the videos later on, I thought were.
The
cool.
problem is like he had the superhero emblems
which makes no sense. Why would he have their logos and emblems?
Exactly, that's what I was saying.
Except for Wonder Woman's, I get it because that's on her uniform pretty much.
But like Cyborg, the Flash, Aquaman, and also too the video of Aquaman, he's clearly holding his breath.
Aquaman does not need to hold his breath.
Yeah,
underwater.
he's like
it makes no sense.
You can't see my face, but they can. But they're just like he's like underwater.
Yeah.
He's Aquaman. He breathes underwater.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, what?
This information that he took, that he's seeing right now, they don't show it at that point. They show it later on when Wonder Woman gets it.
When Wonder Woman's
But anyway, so obviously he saw it.
Yeah.
It's on that drive. He stole that drive from Lex.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand that.
Lex was investigating them, which I think he did. Metahumans. That's what those people like Wonder Woman, Superman, Flash. They're all called metahumans. They're people with powers are metahumans.
So they're showing their logos and stuff. So is it assumed that he took it from whoever set up the Justice League? Like, is that, or you're just mad that they're showing it because they're not established yet?
They're not established. It doesn't make sense that he would have their logos.
Logos, okay.
Or why he would even create them for him in the first place.
Yeah.
Other than the Wonder Woman, I get because that WW is on her on her belt.
Yeah.
And I get Lex is constantly tried to study metahumans and stuff. It's it's a constant, and I get it. And then when they showed Ezra Miller, I don't know. I mean, it was only for 2 seconds or 4 if you count both appearances, but he just doesn't seem like a Barry Allen to me. I don't know how you feel about it, but
it's not. I don't think it's his acting. I don't think it's him.
No, he's a terrific actor.
Yeah.
Is he getting solo movies?
Yeah, 2018.
It's the way it's the way they're setting him up. It's nothing to do with. It's not like it's not a. I don't think it's a bad casting choice. Like when I saw that they casted him, I was like, "That's all right. That's fine. Like that's a good choice. Like not as I don't think it's good as a choice as Grant Gutterson, but
yeah.
Hey, it works. But everyone thought Heath Ledger was gonna be terrible, and he ended up being the best
no,
Joker ever.
I know that Ezra Miller's not.
But then
bad,
I saw him, and I saw him in that suit, and I was just like, no.
I didn't like that.
Yeah,
suit
that
at all.
suit is like, and like again, like people like we had the conversation right in the beginning of this podcast. Like sometimes things need to change, costumes need to change, adaptations. But it's like you can make the Flash costume look good, but you don't have to completely change it. The only time I've ever seen a ridiculous costume work good on film is Captain America's. That's it.
In the Avengers movie.
In all of the movies.
Yeah.
Well, his costumes are fine, except with the in Avengers 1. That's the only time it's bad. It looks stupid.
But they also explain why it's like
because it's an ugly costume.
But it works though. It does work.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Still, but I don't. Where were we? I don't
yeah, but with the Flash, it's like, dude, at least it doesn't resemble anything that reminds you of the Flash. Like, you could make a movie about a speedster and then put that suit on him, and I wouldn't know it's a Flash movie. I'm like, oh, why are they making a speedster movie that's not the Flash or Quicksilver?
But even if, like, because him appearing to Bruce like that was trying to set up Injustice, even in Injustice, like, I mean, granted, it's a video game and a comic, it still it doesn't look like that. It's got, like, more heavy padding and stuff, but it doesn't have like a retractable face mask on it, like an Iron Man face mask or anything. Mm-hmm. But then again, it's 2 seconds, whatever. But like, I didn't like the way they were shoehorned in. And speaking of Wonder Woman, looking at those videos, that email scene was terrible. Yeah. It was so dumb. Scroll. Oh, this. Scroll.
It is you.
Scroll. Oh, it is you.
I know.
Who are you? How old are you? Blah blah blah. I just thought it was so dumb.
Yeah, it was. For like top secret superheroes that like no one knows, they seem to be.
People were in uproar about, at least people I talked to, like, how the hell did he get her email? Dude, who gives a shit? He's Batman.
Yeah, he's Batman. That's the answer.
Whoever.
And that makes sense because he's Batman. Like,
I wonder what her email would be.
Yeah, probably Wonderwoman at AOL.com.
AOL.com. Nah, she's cool. She's Gmail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
No, Hotmail.
Superman. No, Superman's at hotmail.com.
Yeah.
I could see him having a Hotmail email. He's a
no, dude. Superman has an AIM email.
Oh, geez.
Probably. That makes sense.
The thing that like kind of gets, it shouldn't, but like I like how they early on showed why he has like a voice changer kind of thing in the
that
suit.
Was awesome.
That was really cool.
Yeah,
it sounded
like,
good.
Yeah, that was really
Christian
cool.
Bale could have used that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. They should have set it up like that. The thing that bothers me, and I know I should get past this, just accept it, is how does no one recognize who Superman is? Dude, all he does is put glasses on.
I know. It's
Batman's
like
going through these things to change his voice.
Fucking thing in the world.
Like he's going through these things, changing his voice, wearing a costume, wearing a mask, all this other stuff, and all Superman does is put on glasses.
I know, and Supergirl's the same way. It's the worst. Like
that
disguise
is so
ever.
stupid.
It is. It's completely stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's the only. That's
and like people have tried to explain it over the years and come up with different theories.
You can't explain that in any kind of common sense way. Like you can't just be like, oh, it's this. That no, whatever you're gonna say.
It just shows that people around him are idiots.
Yeah,
or like completely oblivious to anything.
Yeah,
they gotta be.
Again, like that's one of the few things. Like again, I actually love Superman. Superman is one of my favorite superheroes. I think Superman gets a bad rap for being like people say he's a vanilla superhero, but like
I think he is. Yeah,
but like if you read Superman comics and like you know a lot of Superman storylines, so he's actually a really in-depth character, especially like when he goes like, against characters like Mogul and Darkseid, like people who like know his past and know his Kryptonian history and like know how much that affects him, like using a family and a civilization he never knew.
Maybe he wouldn't have got such a bad rap if when they made Man of Steel, they made the whole thing mostly on Krypton.
Yeah, that was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, the first 10 minutes.
I could have watched the whole movie on Krypton with Russell Crowe.
I've had this conversation with so many people.
Well, don't worry. David S. Goyer is making a Krypton series for Sci-Fi, so...
No, you just get that guy out of...
I don't think he's going to be writing for Justice League.
He's not. You know what they're doing?
Yeah.
They're taking Chris Terrio, who wrote this with him, and they're taking... I like Chris Terrio.
Yeah.
I did until this.
They're putting him, I guess, maybe in charge of it. Maybe it was... What's his name's ideas that... Or shit, I don't know. Dude, Chris Terrio worked on Argo.
I know. He's
awesome.
He's great.
He's great, but
he's awesome.
I could see those. Well, no, I don't think it's all his fault. I think it's David Goyer.
David Goyer is terrible.
See, now, where are they going to lay the blame on this? Because there's a lot of people saying, let's not have Zack Snyder attached to Justice League.
I completely agree.
Yep.
Do you think it's going to happen? Do you think they're actually going to listen?
It depends if
it might, man.
If they're not making the profit that they're expecting,
It
like
might,
given
dude.
how it is now, it's underperforming.
What's the next release?
They're losing so
out?
much profit.
After this movie, what's next? Is it Justice League 1?
No,
Is that
it's
next?
Suicide Squad in the summer.
Suicide Squad, okay.
Wonder Woman.
And then Wonder Woman. And
Then
then
Justice
Justice
League.
League. At the
Okay,
end
so
of the
there's
year.
no because I know Ben Affleck wasn't tasked with this, but he already wrote the Batman movie.
Him and Jeff Johns, who's the chief creative officer
Yeah,
of DC,
he wrote it.
Who is not just for comic books, but a writing genius.
See, now this
A
gives me a
story
lot of
genius.
hope
Yeah.
because I loved Ben Affleck as Batman.
Me
And not
too.
to mention, I loved the dark, how they
Yeah.
took it dark.
I think Ben
he was
Affleck
so
is
angry the whole
terrific.
time, which is how he should be.
Yeah, he gave off an excellent portrayal.
I love how
you know,
mad he
and
is.
I think with
that look
you know,
on his
another
eyes,
movie,
he looked awesome.
I think he's
great.
terrific. He could be one of the best, if not the best Batman to ever be on screen. You know, after
Dude.
another movie or
Not
two,
with
it'll
this
seal
script.
it.
If they let him,
Not with this script, but
but
with
if they let him
the
write,
Batman movie,
imagine he wrote,
and if he-
directed, and acted. Remember, Argo dude was great.
Argo, Gone Baby
Ben Affleck
Gone.
is an excellent director.
Yeah.
yeah, he's really good.
Excellent
Ben-
director.
he-
Well, that's when they
Ben
first
Affleck is
announced it.
a
I
Hollywood
was like,
baby.
they should have just had him do Justice League. But
They
I guess
still
maybe,
could,
yeah,
but
they still could. Yeah,
I
for sure.
don't know if they would.
I'd rather
but
Ben Affleck do a solo Batman movie because
He's gonna.
When
I
Ben
really-
Affleck
I really
writes,
think they're gonna
directs,
give
and acts in
him-
his movies, it's amazing.
I
Yeah.
think they're going to give him the power to do
they should.
to write it, direct it, and be in it, and it's going
They
to be
should.
epic.
He's got the talent and the star power.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, DC added 2 new film slates, one for the end of 2018 and then one for sometime in 2019. So people are speculating like Batman. There's no Batman scheduled right now,
Yeah.
but either something's going to get pushed back in order to make the Batman movie, or it's going to fill one of those 2 slots. Which I think the sooner the better.
If they're going to do it, yeah, exactly. The sooner the
They
better.
should
If
push
they're going
back.
to do it,
I think they should push back Justice League.
Yeah.
they
easily.
should. Yeah, they absolutely should.
They should push back Justice League because Warner Brothers knows even if they do somehow make a profit, the movie has a bad rap. You can't escape it.
Yeah.
You cannot escape it whatsoever.
And Man of Steel got a bad rap too. This is not making it anymore.
Yeah, they literally have 2 strikes, and it's like if Ben Affleck obviously cares about the Batman character. That's what he wants.
He's gonna take that over, man.
I hope
He's
so.
gonna take it over.
I think he'd be the best. I really do.
I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be his thing.
Like that would actually
Imagine
would put a glimmer of hope
super
in the
dark-
DC universe.
A super dark Batman movie.
And I don't mind a Batman that kills. I don't
Yeah, no,
mind.
neither do I.
Get
Yeah.
it, but
Neither do I.
it was
I don't care.
excessive in Batman v Superman.
Right.
Or just the justification behind it doesn't work.
Yeah.
At least.
Well, I guess I don't have as much. I'm not as mad as that because I didn't hear what Zack
Yeah.
Snyder said in
like
defense
that
to it.
justification, I think makes it a million times worse.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that would bother me. It did bother me when you said it. So
I don't think Zack Snyder's the right person for the job, and especially because he's
Dude,
going to
just-
be
you
producing.
can't do
all the other
those.
DC
Yeah,
movies.
it's too much, man.
He's trying to be Kevin Feige, except Kevin Feige's a genius, and
it's
Zack
too much
Snyder
for him, man. You
is
can't.
not.
They signed him on to do Man of Steel, then Batman v Superman, and
Both Justice League movies.
League's like, dude, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
Like
have
that's
him doing
way
that
too
many
much.
things.
Joss
Yeah.
Whedon did 2 Avengers, and he's like, I'm done. I
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
knows.
that and he was not like he didn't have a hand in every other Marvel project.
Exactly,
he worked with
yeah.
Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
He goes, all right, I think this should happen, so this could happen in the Avengers. But he wasn't like hands on in every other movie.
Yeah.
he might have had like a small production.
Kevin Feige
but-
knows who to put trust in, and when it comes
He's
to
the
Warner,
architect.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas like Zack Snyder is kind of like having that boss that like micromanages like too much. It's like, can you like let me do my job and like you do your
Yeah.
job? And it's just like, if Zack Snyder was like a producer and just was like, hey, you should do this and that and let other people do it, I think it would be a little more successful because Zack Snyder, I don't think he's a terrible director. A lot of people hate him.
I don't hate him.
I think
He's lackluster.
he's lackluster, but he's made some good movies. I really do like 300. The Dawn of the Dead remake is really
Yeah.
good.
That's what
Um,
James Gunn
The same guy who
James
was
Gunn did
the
write it.
cinematographer on Batman v Superman. I think his name is Larry Fong. He did 300.
Yeah.
He did Sucker Punch.
Sucker
Which is
Punch
a
I didn't
terrible
like.
movie.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying he
Yeah.
was a cinematographer.
It looked
That-
good,
so-
but it's
and
not a
he
good
also
movie.
did that fucking Now You See Me movie, which looked great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. I
I'm
mean,
not
the
gonna say
movie
you have
itself
to
is
see
whatever.
it.
I
Yeah.
thought Now You See Me was entertaining, but it's not a great movie.
I've watched it
Yeah,
a bunch of times,
exactly.
so I guess I see it entertaining, but it's a really bad movie.
Yeah,
it's
I don't think it's a good movie. At all.
Well, I mean, like, I like Now You See Me for the same reason why I like Commando. Like, I know it's a bad movie, but like I like it.
exactly,
still
yeah, it's like a
entertaining.
guilty
Yeah.
pleasure kind of thing.
But yeah, like I think honestly, I think Jeff Johns should be the Kevin Feige of the DC universe.
Yeah.
It makes the most sense because he's written for every character. He's written some of the best comic arcs of all time.
He saved Green Lantern.
He saved Green Lantern.
I think he saved Aquaman too.
Probably.
Or was that Scott Snyder?
I don't remember.
No, it was Jeff. Yeah, it was Jeff Johns.
And like he wrote Flashpoint, which is one of the best stories.
Yeah,
of all time.
he literally like the New 52 should have been a disaster.
Yeah.
And do you know what the New 52 is?
It's like a reboot of DC Comics.
Universe completely like DC Comics like completely rebooted almost everything. And like a lot of the stories were bad. A lot of the Superman stories were bad. But like we got Scott Snyder, who's Zack Snyder's brother, who actually is a good storyteller, who like made Swamp Thing one of the best superheroes ever. And then like Aquaman was great. And even before the New 52, there was Flashpoint. They made Aquaman so powerful that he's pretty much Superman underwater, which is a great idea.
Which is exactly how he should be.
Yeah, that's how he should be.
I like the guy that they cast.
Jason Momoa saved Green Lantern from like obscurity, pretty much. So, like, I get why Zack Snyder got the job. You know,
he will have absolutely nothing to do with a Ben Affleck solo Batman movie.
Yeah, I don't
no
want
matter what.
to.
Even if he's still attached to Justice League stuff, I guarantee you he will have
if
nothing
anything,
to
he'll
do.
just be a producer, not like executive. Or
even
anything.
if that, you know what I mean. I think it's going to be completely. Away from
I
him.
really have. After seeing Batman vs Superman, I have no faith in a Zack Snyder Justice League movie.
No, I
even if Chris Terrio is writing it, it doesn't matter. I just think that Zack Snyder follows the same thing every time. Great visually, all his stories fall apart halfway through the movie, if not sooner.
They do, yeah. His they all do.
It's his typical thing, and the characters never develop.
As much as I didn't hate Batman vs Superman, I did like it. As much as I liked it, I don't. Yeah, I think he shouldn't be attached.
Yeah,
to, Justice
and like
League.
the first half of Man of Steel was awesome, and then it shit the bed. And I like Man of Steel now way more than I did when I first saw it. I love Michael Shannon. When I first saw it, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. Gave you another thing. Now it's okay to me, but it's still so heavily flawed.
Yeah, again, I do like Man of Steel. I like it less after I saw Batman vs Superman because I feel like the flaws in Man of Steel are much more prevalent now that I saw Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
But like for example, the script in Man of Steel is I think the script in Man of Steel
is a better script.
It's a better script, but like there's still problems with it. Like there's a terrible line in Man of Steel where it's General Zod and Superman are about to fight each other. And General Zod says, like Kal-El, there's only one way this can end. Either you die or I die. That's two ways. And like they just oversaw that. Like, and I remember seeing that in the movies, and I was like, that's one more than you just said. Like, and it's like, and now the guy that wrote that script is writing the script for Batman vs Superman, and like again, there was like terrible dialogue, and like there wasn't, and like a lot of I couldn't pick up anything that didn't make any sense at all. But like, it didn't make any sense. Pacing wise and like where it went.
And I think one of the things I disliked the most about it, I think all the scenes between Clark and Lois were really bad.
Yeah, they were.
I'll 100% agree with that.
Yeah,
I thought they were really bad, and it's a shame because like in Man of Steel it was better, but like they're both terrific actors. You know, Amy Adams is awesome.
Yeah. I just don't like Lois Lane. I don't know.
I just think it was the way she was written.
Yeah, I just don't know what it was.
It was forced.
She was
it was
so
awkward.
There's no chemistry.
Even Man of Steel.
Chemistry. Yeah.
It was just
so...
they
like kiss after like every like first off, that's the one thing that pissed me off too. Well, actually, the one thing, it was one of the many things that pissed me off was that like Lois Lane and Superman kiss, which is fine because they love each other. Like people who love each other kiss every day, whatever. But like after like millions or thousands of people just died like around you,
they have this.
It's like, hey, let's kiss. Like, yo, it goes all downhill after the first kiss. Yeah, that's really prophetic because the fucking DC universe is going really downhill. Like, it's just like, it just, and it's same thing. And now like the bathtub scene, which was like fan service, which is cool because Amy Adams is hot.
Yeah.
But like the same time, it's just like, it's almost kind of like weird because.
He's not going to jump in all those clothes. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and he does, which is weird, but it's like the chemistry was so forced. He literally says, "Well, I have to protect the woman I love." Like you literally have to say it out loud like that.
Yeah.
Like who talks like
You're
that?
right. I think their scenes together were weird.
No one talks
I think she
like
was
that.
Written poorly.
Do you ever?
That's
like,
what I think.
Both of you have girlfriends. Do you ever say "I love you" just randomly like that?
No, definitely not that stiff.
Yeah.
You know, like
there's something that might be stiff, but it ain't your language.
Yeah.
Like yeah, like.
Nice.
Yeah, it's something like that, and it sucks because they're both great actors, and it could work well. They're just written poorly.
Yeah. You can only work with like you could be Lance Armstrong, but if you're given a bicycle with no wheels, you're not going to go very far. Like,
yeah, that's. And fucking speaking of Lois Lane, how she threw the spear. All right, I'll start with the beginning of that fight. First of all,
let's get into
this
the
whole
fight.
go to the fight. Just skip forward to the actual
thing
fight.
was set up. It makes no sense. Well, it doesn't make sense. First of all, Batman shouldn't seek to kill Superman because there's a 1% chance that he's their enemy.
Yeah.
That's not how Batman works. Batman works on certainties, and he's sure things going to happen.
Batman,
Yeah.
Was he set out to kill him?
He was going to kill him.
Okay. That's what Jeremy Irons was trying to talk him out of doing.
Yeah. And it doesn't make sense that, like, he would try to kill him without, for one instance. Like, he didn't trust him. Yeah, I get that, but shouldn't actively seek to go kill him because of one incident. And the way he planned it, the way he set up that whole, factory abandoned building or whatever, he set it up with all these traps. He came well prepared. The armored suit was great, which is a direct ripoff of The Dark Knight Returns, which Zack Snyder says had no influence on it. Bullshit. He ripped off
that movie,
so much scenes from that.
That movie was an adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
And
filled by a bunch of crap.
And filled in with a tacked on Death of Superman ending.
Yeah. But that suit was great and he was well planned, but he left the kryptonite spear in the ground while he started fighting. And then they go up and he has this kryptonite like tear gas, which I called happening in the trailer.
I thought that was kind of cool, the tear gas thing. I thought
no, that was fine.
Because that makes sense.
The thing is that was all fine.
If Batman were to fight Superman, that's the way you would do it.
And he's done it before.
I thought it was smart.
Yeah.
And then
but that wasn't Zack Snyder's idea. That was Frank Miller's idea.
Yeah, he ripped it off.
Who wrote The Dark Knight Returns.
This whole movie is supposed to lead up to them fighting. First of all, they're only going against each other because Batman wants to kill Superman because
their ideals are completely
they don't
apart.
even include that though.
I know. I think
there's
they
no
do
clashing
of
their
movie,
ideologies.
They're both the same person.
In the movie, they're both the same person.
Yeah, like that one scene where it's like where Clark Kent's like, "Well, Batman's a vigilante, dude." So much for calling the pot the kettle black.
Yeah.
In fact, if anything, you're worse. You killed thousands of people when you fight crime.
Yeah.
Batman
all
at
he
least
does is beat up fucking people who deserve
criminals.
it. Who deserve it. Yeah.
Well, anyway, just throwing that back in. That scene was really cool with the two cops.
It was.
Yeah, that was really.
It
cool.
was. The scenes where Ben gets to be Batman are awesome.
Yeah, they're really cool.
And the reason that they're fighting really is because Batman doesn't trust him.
Batman doesn't trust him.
It's stupid. The reason that
Superman wants to
fight him is because
Lex
somehow Lex knew who Clark Kent's mother was and
weird.
captures her.
That was weird. I think Superman didn't want to kill him before that.
No,
he didn't want to kill him in general. Like he was trying to tell him like, "Hey, this is what's going on."
Right. Well, he didn't even do a good job. He goes, boom, right into the fight. Not to mention the fight lasted under 10 minutes. Whole movie leads up
with the fight
to this
movie.
The Batman v Superman fight. That was the biggest draw of the movie. It lasted like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and it was like,
I mean, you see the thing.
And for Batman, who like is obviously like a trained martial artist, he threw a punch like I would throw a punch at a bar. Like,
and like it. But given, I'm sure with the director's cut that's coming out, that's where we're gonna see the fight. I'm sure.
I don't know, man.
For all
I
the
think
shit
it's still
we
gonna be
missed.
short. The people were telling me that they didn't like the fight scene because it was too short. I mean, how much longer could they literally just pound each other? Neither one's gonna lose.
It could have been like honestly like 15 minutes, but it was like
neither one of those guys was
going
to lose that fight. They would dominate each other. The other guy would dominate. He would dominate back and forth. Even how short it was, I was like, okay, at some point this is going to break. Like they got to stop doing this at some point.
Yeah.
I think it just made because like they call it Batman v Superman.
No, I just think that
and the movie
was no
really
fight
there to just set up Justice League.
There was no fight of their ideologies because they were the same. They had the same viewpoint.
Exactly. Which is my
I think that's why.
problem.
I think that's why like they realized with such a smallest little thing that they shouldn't be fighting.
You want to know why they got rid of the S in versus? Because they didn't really verse each other. It's Batman visits Superman. Like
that works.
Yeah, that works.
That's why.
He might have said
the reason
that in an
that
interview or something.
Probably. They got to fight. Fuck, what was I gonna say? No helicopter pilot in the right mind is gonna bring Lois Lane right to the fight. That. Stupid.
Yeah.
And then, but the worst part about it was Batman has Superman under his spiked heels with this
Here we go.
kryptonite spear, and he says, they're going to kill Martha. And then, boom, Bruce Wayne's like, oh, shit. Why did you say that name? Why did you say that name? Blah, blah, blah. First of all, if you know he's Clark Kent, you should probably know his mother's name because you figured out he's Clark Kent somehow.
Yeah.
Because he's
huge
Batman.
plot hole.
I think he just got lost.
Because he's Batman.
That and he was just lost in fury at that point in time.
Why would that like make him go insane like that? Why would you say that name? Superman, all he had to say was, "They're going to kill my mom." There you go.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Martha thing was going right back to the beginning.
That's
why
they
said
was
her
the payoff.
name.
Yeah. But
that is
dude,
a shitty payoff. That's a shitty reason to end
it's
the
like,
fight.
dude, all the planets must have aligned at one single point at that moment because, like, no one gets that lucky ever.
No.
Like, the only time I've ever seen someone get so lucky in a movie is when Nicolas Cage won the lottery in that movie where he shares it with the waitress because he'd have enough to tip, and he actually says, "If I win this lottery ticket, I'll share it with you." But that made sense because the movie was a comedy and a romantic comedy, dude. Like, both your mother's names are Martha. Okay, I'm sure I can meet someone down the street that their mom is named Barbara. My mom's name's Barbara. So, like, it's like, oh my God, let's be best friends. Like, your mom's name's Barbara. Like,
next time your life is in danger, just say,
yeah, I'm just gonna scream my mom's name,
Barbara.
Barbara.
See if it happens.
Like,
And then
Was Bruce Wayne's mother's name always Martha?
yes,
Okay.
Both
Thomas
their
and
mother's
Martha.
name has always been Martha.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
at
Cool.
least Superman's Earth
Yep.
parents.
and like in the comics, like they usually refer to him as Ma and Pa Kent because it's like Smallville, Kansas, it's down
Exactly.
south.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but like, yes, her real name is
Oh,
Martha.
speaking of Pa Kent, that scene with fucking
Yeah,
Kevin
that was
Costner
weird.
was
That-
weird and
That
terrible.
was weird.
that
completely
didn't make
unnecessary.
any sense.
Fit nowhere in the story.
What happened right before that? Like, how did they get into that scene? Do you guys remember?
Dude,
'Cause
I don't know.
don't.
I don't
It-
remember.
whatever
I
it
just
was,
remember
it
feeling
didn't
really
make
weird
sense.
about that scene.
It
just
didn't
kinda,
make
like,
sense because
staring
I think
at
it was after
trying to
the
make sense of
bombing
it.
because he decided to go away. But first of all, that
Actually, you're right. I think it was after the bombing.
So he went away.
yeah.
Where he's climbing a mountain and he sees
You remember
his
where the
dad?
shit? Yeah, he hallucinated it or something. I don't
Did
know.
he?
I don't know.
He had to because
Who
obviously
knows?
he's dead.
Who knows? But then 2 seconds later, he's back in Metropolis. Getting back to the fight, then after that fucking terrible MacGuffin, then Batman just leaves the Spear of Kryptonite in the middle of that building, goes to try and save Martha Kent. Then Amy Adams gets the bright idea, which I understand her thinking originally. Drop the kryptonite down this well or whatever it was.
I thought that was stupid.
Which is stupid. It
I
is,
thought that
but
was
like
really stupid.
they wrote her as a dumb character, so I see why
Lois
she did
Lane,
it.
who's one of the smartest female characters, not just in comics, but
Yeah, I thought she was really intelligent.
Yeah, she's supposed to be.
And they
didn't
write
write
her
her that
so
way.
stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, like
They didn't write her that way
Then
at all.
Batman goes to finds where Ma Kent's being kept.
That fight scene was cool.
That fight
Beat
scene
the
was sweet.
shit out of those guys.
He
punched that guy into the floor.
Zack
That's so
Snyder
cool.
completely ripped it out of the Arkham games, but it was awesome.
yeah,
And then in that
yeah,
scene,
he did, yeah,
it was exactly like that, but it was awesome. And I surprised I didn't bring this up before. The Batsuit's fucking sweet.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Not to
It-
mention he
fills
it's
it out, dude.
justified. Yeah, he filled it out, bro. He was huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dude, he got huge. I mean, he's
Yeah.
a big guy to begin with, but he got ripped.
He was. Yeah, he
Um,
was ripped,
That
dude.
workout scene was pretty cool too.
Yeah,
where he's
that
just
was
like
a good-
lifting the
kind of
tire.
weird, but it was still
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it was.
really
It
cool.
reminded me of like a montage in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Like I was just like, I'm liking this. It's
yeah,
all right.
it was fine. That didn't bother me at all. Then he goes in there, and then he starts. He throws a couple bombs on a couple of the villains' guns. Then he takes one guy's gun and shoots everybody in the head.
Yeah.
Everybody in the
Yeah.
neck. They weren't wearing helmets. He shoots them all.
He just mows him down.
Just mows them down.
No care.
So then finally he gets into where Ma Ken is with the other, with Anatoly, in charge of the mercenaries.
Yeah, that guy.
He was in Captain America: Winter Soldier.
He was. He was one of the Hydra agents. And he's like, "Oh, I'm a friend of your son's." After I was just about to try and
Yeah.
stab him in the chest with the only thing in the world that can kill him.
Yeah. Oh.
And
The
then,
friend of your son's line was,
and then,
I shouldn't have been there, I guess.
and then,
It
you know,
was really
Anatoly
weird.
It was meant
got-
for comedy.
Yeah.
For a movie void of comedy, it was
They
like
tried
the
to
worst
push-
joke I ever
They tried
heard.
to push
Yeah.
that comedy towards the end because that one
Yeah.
line with Wonder Woman,
I thought she
was
was with
cool.
you.
They gave it up
Why
in the
would she be
trailer.
with him? Because she already knows who you both are. Or,
Yeah.
you know, she knows you
I just
more
thought it
than
was
him.
kind of funny.
But then the guy's wearing a flamethrower. He's got this huge, propane, kerosene thing on his back, whatever the fuel is. Shoots that. The guy blows up. Batman killed him after he killed all his thugs beforehand in that sweet car chase. And then, boom, she's saved. Okay, so then Lex finally unleashes Doomsday, which he somehow made in the Kryptonian.
This you guys have been pissed about for a
ship's
long
pit.
time,
And
because it was in the trailer.
yeah.
I remember. You guys both being mad about it, and obviously Doomsday looked ridiculous.
He looked
stupid,
terrible.
Yeah,
he looked like the love child of the most recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Abomination from the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
he
did a lot.
It was
had an inbred
turtle.
It was the most unimaginative like spore I've ever seen. Like it was like Doomsday in the comics is like a hulking creature, but there's some originality to him. Like he has like his joints have like spiked bones coming out of them.
Which they started to get towards the end, but it still didn't look good.
He was also never. I mean, Zod was never Doomsday, right?
Nope.
No, they turned him into Doomsday by making it a Kryptonian deformity and combining Lex Luthor's blood in that.
In the movie, you're saying?
Yeah, in the movie.
Not.
Hence why he couldn't fly.
Yeah, but
not in anything previous though.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
He wasn't. He was created on Krypton, but by Kryptonian scientists or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the design was terrible. That fight, I don't know, like what the hell happened. But the fight itself was okay.
I didn't like it
at parts, but like the fact that really what ruined it was when
they didn't let Batman beat Batman in that fight at all.
No, he stood on the sideline.
He watched it. He watched it.
He just sat there with a gun and didn't even do anything.
He looked so small compared to the other superheroes. Like,
and like,
really
I get it.
Yeah.
Batman doesn't have powers, and those three things have powers.
But that's
Doomsday is fucking walking.
Yeah, he's massive.
But like, there's comics and there's the Justice League like unlimited like television series where like even though Batman doesn't have powers, he
fought Darkseid.
Yeah, he fought Darkseid, and like while yes he can't win, like Batman like
would still fight. He wouldn't still
fight. Yeah, he doesn't stand to the side, and he always finds an intelligent way to help out.
Yeah,
he didn't do.
He sat there.
Shit, like I couldn't.
He didn't do anything. That bothered me, and that's what I was saying. Like when they let him be Batman, he was badass. Dude.
Exactly. Yeah. That they just wasted him. Although Wonder Woman kicked ass, I'll give her that.
Yeah, she was awesome.
She was great.
She was
awesome. Gal Gadot
is
incredible.
Yeah,
wait, I like that. I like that like 30-second gratuitous upskirt they had on her.
Yeah,
gotta please the fans somehow.
Yeah, gotta have that in there.
But yeah, she was great. Her introduction, but
her solo movie
I thought she
really
was
good.
Yes,
I'm really excited to see her have her own movie.
I thought she was with you. Terrible line, completely unfunny.
I liked it,
Makes no sense.
Awesome.
Make no sense at all.
You see, I think if it was anyone else other than Ben Affleck doing it, I don't think I would have liked it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't like Superman kind of thing involved in it. I just liked Batman's response.
Right. I mean, not because they're friends, but I think Matt Damon could be a pretty good Batman too. Actually.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he can do it.
He can fit into other roles. I don't know about Batman.
I forget who was telling us. I think it might have been Hoffman. Like when it comes to like an overall like critical rating and like commercial rating, Matt Damon is one of the most successful actors out there.
Yeah, he is. And then during the fight, Lois, I don't understand how Lois figured this out, but she figured out that Doomsday could be stopped by the kryptonite.
Don't know how she did
Literally have no clue how that happened.
Don't know how she did that.
Because I don't know how she would. Yeah, because
she ran back to the well.
So she ran into the well. It collapses, and
because that building wasn't safe.
Yeah. And then
she dies essentially.
Yeah.
Well, instead of telling one of the superheroes, "Can you get that?"
Not just one of the superheroes, either Batman or Wonder Woman, which I'm gonna get to.
Batman could have done it. He wasn't doing.
While Superman is fighting Doomsday and there's all this destruction going around, he hears Lois tapping. Okay, and then he pulls out the kryptonite. Terrible idea.
The thing that bothered me about that, I liked that he heard her tapping because it kind of played off his hearing earlier on in the movie, which is fine to me. What pissed me off is when he pulled her out. He didn't even do anything to resuscitate her. She just coughed the water up.
Yeah.
That bothered me.
Yeah, because you can't do that. I thought that too.
Mouth to mouth. Yeah.
I forgot about that. I remember seeing that. I was just like, huh.
She just coughed the water up.
Just about to let her die, I guess.
She was underwater for like 3 minutes.
Did the nuke scene happen prior to that, or was it after that?
It was
after.
It was after.
Okay.
And here's another thing too, like referring back to like what I said, just because it's in the comics doesn't mean it's good. In the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns comics, Superman puts guides a nuclear missile into space and it blows up, and his body is almost destroyed, but his costume is okay. And then like the sun regenerates him.
I totally forgot about that part.
But yeah, but in the movie,
that CG was really bad.
Yeah, that CG was really bad. In the movie, I'm like, all right. Like in the comics, it was kind of stupid, but like the comic is so good. The comic is like almost perfect. The Dark Knight Returns is one of the best comics I've ever read.
You didn't like the way he looked when he was in space?
I just think that CGI was poorly done on that.
I think the same thing. But like the Dark Knight Returns is one of the best comics I've ever read.
Yeah, you wrote it.
Yeah, I wrote it. It was one of the best comics I ever read in my life. So I'm not. I'm not trying to say it's bad, but like in that comic,
it was stupid.
It was stupid that the costume is okay. In the movie, like in the movie, his costume is fine after a nuclear explosion. So okay, so then finally going into the end, where first off, throughout the whole movie, when Superman's around Kryptonite, he's like an infant. He can't do anything. He's like dying, and then he picks up the spear and flies.
This really pissed me off.
Yeah, and
really
he flies. He flies. He can't fly when he's around Kryptonite.
He should have had.
He couldn't pull it out of the water without almost dying.
Yeah,
Wonder Woman. Yes, exactly. Wonder Woman should have done it.
Or Superman could have been fighting Doomsday and handed the spear to Wonder Woman, and she could have like attached it to her lasso and like whipped it or done something.
Wonder Woman.
I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah.
But
here we go. The nuclear missile that didn't destroy Superman's suit, but the Zod's Day could stab it with his bone. Like, did that? Like, was I the only one that picked up on that?
No, I agree. It was
like,
makes sense.
That suit, like the suit that didn't have anything done to it during a nuclear explosion.
Not even that, but during Man of Steel, there was no damage to it either.
Yeah, but now there is. Like,
speaking of damage to suits and stuff, I thought Batman looked badass with half a fucking helmet.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like where his voice was going in and out.
Yeah,
he looked badass with that.
Yeah, that whole part of Superman, when he pulled it out of the well, Lois had to pull him out.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah,
and then he's able to fly to stab.
They showed him kind of like struggling trying to do it, but he did fly. I thought that like when he was anywhere near it, he was going to be wasn't gonna be able to do anything.
As soon as I saw him fly with that, I'm like, all right, he's dead.
Yeah,
and then he dies.
And dude, when he gets stabbed,
spoiler alert, he fucking dies.
Like,
but obviously he's not fucking dead.
When he gets stabbed, he gets stabbed through the chest. And if you get stabbed through the chest and it's impaled to your back, it hits your spine. Like, you're done. Like, I'm sorry.
There's no Brady back.
I don't care who you are. Like in the Death of Superman comic, when he dies, he's not stabbed to the chest. He's beaten to death. Yeah. Like physically beaten to death.
Yeah.
You know? Like, he's stabbed in this movie. So that whole funeral scene at the end, which was like pretty much like, oh my gosh, it was so long. When you knew he wasn't gonna stay dead because there's a Justice League movie,
obviously
it was like
fucking die.
Yeah, it was just like, and like
somebody,
I know he's not dead.
Yes, people were all mad about that. People were like, oh, people spoiled it for
when
me
he
that
stabbed,
he died. I'm like, dude, obviously he's not
where
fucking
your
dead.
heart is. The final scene that you end the movie with is a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That and the dirt floating off the ground. Yeah. What is he, Goku? You know, raising his key or
something?
Something that
dude,
the dirt floats
I was
off the
like,
ground?
that was like that scene was finally like, I will never watch this movie again.
I love how during both funerals were going on at the same time, one for Superman and one for Clark Kent. And I love when Perry White picks up the Death of Superman newspaper. Superman's face is right on the front page. Then he opens right up to the obituaries, and Clark Kent. Both happen to die in the same day. I get it. There's a lot of destruction, whatever. But he literally just looked at Superman, then looked at Clark Kent.
Yeah, that goes back to mine.
And like out of the millions of people that are probably reading that newspaper, billions, because it's Superman, no one's gonna flip the page back and forth and be like,
"Oh, this is the same guy."
They must be twins.
Yeah, it's something like that.
It's like, dude, like I almost want like a Parent Trap 2, but instead of with Lindsay Lohan's, it's Clark Kent and Superman, and it's like, because they might as well. Like,
that's awesome. I agree with you guys on everything that there's like these plot holes and all this stuff, and I just didn't think overall it was as bad as a movie because I was so busy being impressed with the cinematography and all the production side of it,
which is a thing to be impressed about. Yeah,
how they didn't, even though it was Batman v Superman and they were fighting, and obviously it was a short fight like you said, but I didn't think they overdid the CGI. Where it
was pretty good.
Man of Steel
in some
the whole
parts,
fucking movie was CGI. And
no,
I was
it's
like,
not
oh
even
my
that.
God, I can't watch this anymore.
the amount of CGI was fine. It's just some of the CGI looked bad.
Yeah,
it was
agree.
like some great looking CGI, and then like 10 seconds later, some shitty looking CGI, and it was going back and forth like that.
Well,
which
too much money.
it looked like worse CGI than the Scorpion King, which came out 12 years ago on a $10 budget. But whatever. My biggest problem with I've said most of them, but like the biggest problem is that it was like 5 movies crammed into 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
They threw in so many storylines, so it left so much unexplained. And then at the end, when Jesse's like, Lex Luthor's like, oh, he's coming. You're like, and it's talking about Darkseid. You're like, how the fuck does he know about that? A couple days ago, Warner Brothers released a deleted scene from it that shows how he knows, which should have been in the movie.
The amount of damage control around this movie is insane.
I'm wondering who to blame when the director's cut comes out and all this extra footage and it's like 3.5 hours. Who do you go after now and blame for taking all the parts that made sense out of the movie?
They're going to blame the MPAA because of the R rating, even though they could have probably switched it out and added things like that scene.
I guarantee you, if the movie was 3 hours, it still would have been too long, but I'm sure a lot of the stuff would have made more sense.
But but here's the thing, though, too, is like Deadpool was released a month and a half before, and it's the most successful R-rated movie ever made.
Yeah.
And it's like after you saw that, and you could have been it proves that the R rating doesn't mean jack squat anymore.
Also proves you can make money for not $300 million because the budget on that was what?
$50 million or $58 million. Whatever.
Yeah, but like at the same time, like they Warner Brothers should have said, you know what, make it R, do it, because at least it's a coherent movie.
Was it not rated R?
It was rated PG-13.
Batman v Superman's PG-13.
What the fuck?
The director's cut's gonna be rated R because
100%, and it should have been rated R. Well, it should have been rated R.
It should have.
If you're gonna make a bad Batman, like
you're trying to make a movie so dark and
Batman,
gritty, make it rated R so it actually makes sense.
Just fucking commit.
You know how I felt watching that movie sometimes? Like, when you watch The Godfather on TNT, and The Godfather, which is a clearly R-rated movie, you're like, wow, like it's not as good because.
Okay, so what I'm thinking in my head here is that Snyder wanted to make a darker movie with Batman, rated R, essentially, because his cut's going to be rated R.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers, whoever, decided we're not going to make a bunch of money. This is rated R.
And the thing is, it was cut down like that at the last minute. Like it was complete. It was supposed to be longer, and it was supposed to have those scenes, and then they cut it at the last minute, and then announced that they were saving it for the DVD release.
If it made sense,
if it made sense, I would have liked it. I thought it dragged on.
Well, that's where they went wrong then.
Because the pacing was terrible, but that's probably because of how it was edited. And like, there's a lot of shit that didn't make sense.
That's what I'm saying. No, now do you blame the editor for that, or do you blame whoever told him to take the shit out?
Who knows, though?
I blame everyone.
And here's the thing, though. Even let's say it's not all of Zack Snyder's fault of like inconsistencies and plot holes.
Because he didn't have Final Cut.
But at the same time, there's a lot of creative choices that were bad that are at this point.
If he's like the Kevin Feige of DC, he has Final Cut.
Yeah. I don't think he does, though, right?
We don't know.
Because if he did, it would have been longer. It would have been rated R. And it would have probably been darker.
Okay, but with that cut, you would think that the cut they want released, he would probably have Final Cut over it, given the position they really have him in.
But then again, what I'm saying is, like, he's guaranteed on the other two movies. I don't know if he's trying to push the envelope on saying, hey, like, don't fucking do that because he wants to do the other two movies.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? I don't know if that's the kind of situation where he's, like, treading on water, being like, hey, don't cut my movie.
Yeah.
Also, still keep me on for the next two. I honestly... just to kind of wrap up, I think that he is going to be removed from Justice League 1 and 2.
I think so, too.
I think so, too, because, this movie is making less money
which is a huge
than Man of Steel.
Loss to him.
And I'm not talking, like, I want to clarify that.
How often does that happen?
Yeah.
It happens a lot. It happened with Superman 2.
Not gross. It's making less profit than Man of Steel was, and Man of Steel made less money.
Yeah.
And, people are like...
they spent
when we were
so
talking
much
about
money on marketing.
The the drop between box office weekends, the drop in box office gross.
Drop, yeah.
Somebody on Reddit I saw brought up, well, Deadpool at 4 weeks in only made $50 million in one weekend. Yeah, that's 4 weeks in, and that's how much its budget was. It made back its budget 4 weeks after it was released. That's fine.
The movie was over budget, obviously.
It was overstuffed, over budgeted, poorly put together, so many plot holes. And I think that the fact that the audience score has gone down every single day. You know, obviously the critic score is abysmal. It's at 29%. It's worse than Daredevil movie.
Yeah,
which was terrible. That was like 40-something%. But like the audience score is lower than Man of Steel too, which is terrible. I think that Warner Brothers has Zack Snyder on the hot seat right now.
Yeah, I definitely think
they should.
Man. I think he's going to be removed.
And I think with the announcement of those 2 extra DC slots that they're going to push Justice League back, and if they don't, I'd be surprised, and I think it would be stupid.
They need to go back to the drawing board.
Who's directing Wonder Woman?
Patty Jenkins.
Okay. And they have a director for Aquaman yet? Even though it's
James Wan.
Yeah, which is great choice.
I think so, yeah.
I love James Wan. Conjuring, Insidious.
Yeah, he's a really good director.
Saw the first Saw movie.
Yeah, and then
so they have directors for all those movies, all the standalone movies.
The only other one with a director is The Flash, and you know that book Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies that was just turned into a movie. All right, well, the book is actually not that bad, but the movie was terrible. The guy who wrote that book is directing this, and he's never directed anything in his life, but he's directing the Flash movie.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a good way to go.
Whenever authors direct, the movie has way too much dialogue.
I'd be very surprised if they gave Affleck director on Justice League movies.
I mean, I would absolutely love that, but again, I don't see that happening.
Well, see, now who would you want to replace Zack Snyder?
Well,
anybody.
Not anybody, really.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's a short list, but David Ayer, who's directing Suicide Squad, has contracts with DC now. They're already planning a Suicide Squad sequel, you know, depending on how it does opening weekend. But David Ayer is a terrific director. You know, the last movie he did, Fury, was awesome. Every movie he's ever did.
Fury was great. 9
out of 10 of his movies are excellent. I think he would do a great job.
Sabotage is his only bad movie.
Yeah.
And granted, it's not terrible. It's not a terrible movie.
Well, like the guy directed Training Day,
which is a fantastic movie.
End of Watch.
I like that. You think they would do that? You think they'd give it to him?
Depending on how
I wonder what
goes,
that short list would look like.
If they delay it and Suicide Squad does well, I think so.
Yeah, because Suicide Squad would be a test.
It's going to do well?
Of
Suicide Squad?
It's only going to do well probably because of Guardians of the Galaxy. That's why.
Yeah, because and also too, like if David Ayer gets the Justice League job, it's like depending on the Suicide Squad success, because it'll prove if he does it well. David Ayer is really good at having an ensemble cast and giving every character like enough time to where you can either relate or get to know them.
Okay, so for Suicide Squad, because there's a bunch of people in it, obviously.
Yeah, it's a big ensemble.
That's why I think David Ayer was a great choice. Fury, every character is perfectly portrayed. Training Day, Ethan Hawke and Denzel Washington both have equal amount of screen time, and they're both just as interesting. Even though Denzel does take control of the role, Ethan Hawke is really great in that movie.
End of Watch, Jake Gyllenhaal and
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena were terrific.
Yeah,
you know, you could say whatever you want about Michael Pena in other roles, but that was probably the best role he's ever played. Other than his character in Ant-Man was great, but
he was great in that.
But he was a better actor in End of Watch.
I think they should push Justice League back. Let
at
Affleck,
least a year.
Let Affleck do Batman, write it, direct it, star in it, see what happens, and I really think they're gonna dump Zack Snyder.
I think they should.
They need to.
And another reason they should put back. First of all, their scheduling of Justice League is stupid. They have it part 1 coming out in 2017 next year. Then part 2 comes out in 2019.
What?
Yeah. And then they have all these movies between then. The Avengers Infinity Wars is split up, except they come out within 10 months of one another. Which makes more sense.
Their whole scheduling just like reminds me so much of Fox and all the X-Men stuff. Like they're so all over the place.
And like another thing is their releases like for the next few years are pretty close to each other. Like I forget the time frame between Flash and Aquaman, but it's not that long. But the Cyborg and Green Lantern movies that are coming out in 2020 are 2 months apart. I think that's too soon to release another major project.
Yeah.
Usually it's like 3 or 4 months. Marvel has done like at least 4 months.
Marvel
between their continuous movies.
Copy what Marvel's doing with releases, man.
They're trying, but they're blowing it.
How do you blow copying how people release movies?
Because they're poorly run.
Marvel's been doing it. Just go back and look how they did it.
Yeah,
I know.
Well, because DC's impatient. Like they're trying to hit the ground running, but it's like
This movie took forever, though. Batman vs Superman took forever. They announced it a long time ago. Dude, that's a long
3
time.
years.
Yeah, but it's Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, then Suicide Squad and Justice League. But it's like
with the Wonder Woman, Justice League.
Wonder Woman and Justice League. Whereas but even though Justice League it's 5 movies technically, just like with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but you can tell that they're rushing to the Justice League movie because they're trying to get it out.
It gets confusing to me when you have Suicide Squad and Justice League under DC, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
That's just too many characters, man. Like now you have because Affleck's going to be in Suicide Squad, right?
Not a small part. Yeah, he's cameo.
So now you see him connected to those 5-6 people. He's also connected to Justice League 5-6 people.
Yeah.
There's just too much shit going on at that point.
The only reason that Suicide Squad was greenlit is because of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like the same thing except with villains. And like Suicide Squad,
they should have just pushed
in
that.
general
It's
is great,
like
in
good, but they should
comics
have just
and
pushed
TV
that
show and stuff.
They should have planned it better.
But it's only going to be successful because Guardians of the Galaxy, a group of misfits,
that's why Suicide
blew
Squad
away
is
expectations.
being made, is because Guardians of the Galaxy was so successful.
Yeah, until you go into Suicide Squad and God forbid, Jared Leto is bad in it.
Yeah.
Or that whole thing is stupid.
Yeah.
Although I know Jared Leto's going to give a great performance.
Yeah,
I think his look the tattoos bother me a lot, but I know he's going to give a great performance either way.
If he does a great performance, I think people will grow to like it.
Yeah, I mean, if he's puts on a great performance as he has done continually, then I won't even pay attention to the tattoos.
Yeah.
But that's got a solid cast too, and with a solid director.
Yeah.
I don't think Will Smith fits in.
He doesn't. He's awful.
Completely don't think it at all.
And, you think he's an awful actor?
No, I don't. I just hate him because of his kids.
His kids are terrible.
Dude, okay.
I'm sorry.
Let's end it off on this because we're going on an hour and a half now, so we got to cut it. But all right, you got one more thing?
Yeah, then you can end it. I think DC right now is really nervous because of Batman v Superman. Apparently, they went and reshot and rewrote some scenes in Suicide Squad to inject more humor. Because that's one of the biggest criticisms of Batman v Superman, aside from not having
Smith even
any
said
heart. Oh, Kevin Smith tore it apart.
Yeah.
Which, if you haven't listened to his review, definitely listen to it.
On the Smodcast.
Yeah, you can find a clip of it on YouTube. But so they're worried about that. And with the introduction of those 2 DC slots, Warner Brothers is also planning on making less of their own releases, not DC releases, but over the next few years of their own Warner Brothers releases. They're going to cut back on that to focus on that. And I think that they're going to have to push Justice League back and then get rid of Zack Snyder because they're in
cut him.
They're in damage control mode, and they had done that as soon as the movie was released. They went right into damage control.
Before it was released.
They went right into damage control.
Well, I think they overspent on marketing. That's probably part of it, too.
The movie cost almost $500 million between production and marketing.
Yeah.
That's why they need to make $1 billion for it to be a profit.
I have one more question before we end it. In that Batman movie, standalone Affleck Batman movie, who do you think is going to be the villain? Who do you want to see as a villain?
The rumor is it's going to be the Red Hood.
Yeah, and I would
fucking love the Red Hood.
That's what I mean. I don't know enough about these because I don't follow comics as much as you guys. I don't know about these guys. Obviously, you can't do. They're not going to do the Joker, right? They're not going to.
I mean, they could.
The Joker could be in the movie.
We'll see how well Jared Leto does. I think if Jared Leto is, but I think if Jared Leto,
how many more villains are there?
There's a lot, but if Jared Leto blows it, if Jared Leto blows it out of the water in Suicide Squad,
he's gonna.
I think they'll probably make him use it. But yeah, I really want the Red Hood because it's an awesome story, and
the Red Hood's one of my favorite Batman villains / characters.
Since Robin died, we don't know which Robin it was, but that can set up a Red Hood storyline.
It could be, because the Red Hood is Robin. But I mean, I'm not I don't want to say too. I mean, that's common knowledge. That's not a spoiler, but I don't want to say why or how or what happens because, again, for people who don't read comics, some people don't want to know when they go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would also really like to see Hush.
Yeah, I would love to see Hush.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many things they could do. Don't do.
Batman has the best
for some reason. Do another Bane or don't do a
comics.
Joker. Just do something new.
Yeah.
And even if Jared Leto kills it in Suicide Squad, which he probably will,
I would love to see a Calendar Man. Something like that.
I don't think it worked for a whole movie.
Well, as a beginning, almost I would like you know how a Scarecrow was in every Dark Knight movie.
Oh yeah.
I would like to see a Calendar Man or something like that, introducing like that, just to give the fans a little nod, hey, listen, we know you like these guys, here they are.
Yeah.
But
even if he kills it in the movie, though, I I think Affleck's gonna have final say over everything. Like, he's just literally gonna take control of that project and just say, "Let me do it."
Well,
here's my track record. You know,
he already wrote
Let me
the
do
script.
It.
The script's already done.
He wasn't even supposed to. He wasn't tasked with that.
Yeah.
He just did it.
I think he just did it, and good. God bless him.
That's what I'm saying. He's gonna take it over.
Yeah,
deservingly so.
Yeah.
All right. How did you want to end? I'm sorry.
All right. No. Let's just say, like, we're an hour and a half. It's like, I just want to say, I wanted to end it with, because I know you said you didn't like Will Smith's kids. I don't have a problem with Will Smith's kids, but, like, do you ever see the picture of Jaden Smith, how he has, like, the dreadlocks, and he has, like, you know how, like, usually dreadlocks, you tie little rubber bands around him? He has, like, $19,000 rings.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, like,
he is an asshole, and he says the most ridiculous shit in the world. Him and his sister, it was like a Rolling Stone magazine. They were acting like they are nuclear physicists. They're like, what's his daughter's name is Willow, right?
No.
His daughter's Willow Smith?
Maybe.
Oh, sure. Well, that's a dumb name.
Well, so is Jaden. No, yeah, it is. I
don't know
Willow
her name
Smith
is.
because
she had that song and that video.
I whip my hair back and forth.
She goes, "Time isn't real. I control time. I could go back and forward and make it as fast or slow as I want. I control time."
She was just saying that.
Yeah, she was saying
she
that.
Might have
she
just been screwing with him.
No,
I think
she
wasn't.
Crazy. She was being completely serious. Have you ever seen what Jaden Smith says?
I don't even care.
Look at his fucking Twitter feed.
But dude, there's so many stupid celebrities. Like, look at B.O.B. He thinks they're
but
flat.
they are, but they're really pretentious about it. But I don't like his, and I hate that his son was the newest Karate Kid.
Yeah, no, it bothers me. I just
piece of shit.
We got into this because of Suicide Squad.
I don't like Will Smith in Suicide Squad.
No,
but I like Will Smith as an actor.
I like him as an actor. I just don't think he should be in Will.
All right, but we're at an hour and 36 minutes and 5 seconds. So, 7 seconds, 8 seconds. So, let's end it. Dan, one last question before we go. Like, talking to us, like, do you still feel the same about the movie that when you left?
No, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I agree with you guys 100% on the holes in it.
Yeah.
I see the holes in it, but for me, like, I kind of wasn't going to see it for the story.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I kind of knew everything that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I wasn't seeing it for the story personally, and I really liked the production side of it.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't think it deserved. For me, it's like when people see a movie, the movie took 3 years to make. There was a lot of hard work that went into it, and someone sees it and they're just like, it sucks. I'm just like, fuck, man. Like, that's so much hard work that went into it. Like, shit.
And it's like
that's just pissed all over.
But
like,
a lot of terrible movies have hard work going into it.
I know.
Roger Ebert said it best. Like, there's like directors have gone up to Roger Ebert and said, "I spent 2 or 3 years of my life making this movie, and you're gonna tell people not to see it, and it sucks." And Roger Ebert says, like, "Listen," he's like, "Keep doing what you're doing." He goes, "But it still sucks."
Damn.
Yeah. And like, I agree. Some of the production elements, like the cinematography,
really
is great.
Yeah,
that was probably there were good aspects of the movie. It was just overshadowed by so many negative things.
And another response to that too, I forget the director's name, said the same thing. I spent 2 or 3 years of my life making this. And he's like, "Wow, well, you wasted 2 or 3 hours of my time."
Oh, jeez.
So, listen,
I miss Roger Ebert.
Yeah, R.I.P. Roger Ebert. He was great. So was Gene Siskel. Ended off on this note. Like, listen, like, I know, like, I crap on this movie a lot. I crap on this movie every day, and people like literally ask me, like, you know, like, why I think this, blah blah blah. Like, hey, it's really not that bad. Listen, if Zack Snyder wants to keep directing movies, like, let him. Like, an artist should never be stopped telling what to do because people think his stuff is crap. I think that's, you know, I'd rather have 100 movies come out that are bad, but it's the movies that people wanted to make and they were able to make them.
Yeah.
But that's not gonna stop me from not liking them.
Yeah.
So
the question I just get is, like, people ask me, like, should I even bother seeing it? I'm like, yes, you should see it, and tell me what you think. You should see it.
See how you like it.
Yeah.
Just because we don't like it
Like,
doesn't mean
I'm not gonna give
listen,
Zack Snyder my money. Dude, it's $10, $15, whatever.
It's not going to him.
Yeah. Listen,
yeah,
like,
exactly. You know what I mean?
Like, I would say the opposite. I would say no, don't see this movie. Save your money. But at the same time, it's like, well, it's your money. You can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You know. But all right, let's end it off. Dan, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Come back sooner than later.
Yeah, thanks
next
for
time.
having me, man.
All right. Yeah, and Pat, you have anything else to finish off with? I guess we just, you know,
see a movie, judge it for yourself.
Yeah, and if you're don't say Marvel's movies are for kids because they're not.
Oh, that's one of the things that's pissing me off so much.
Yeah, they're way more intelligent than this movie. But all right, let's.
I can go on off a whole.
Yeah, you can't because it's gonna be another tangent. It's gonna be like 20-minute tangent. All right, so follow us on Twitter if you want to get updates on Awesome Sunday Show. The Twitter handle for that is @AwesomeSunShow because Twitter characters are really generous. I am at Less Than Connor.
I'm at Rick Pat Mick.
I'm at Dan Szpakowski.
Yep, and be sure to follow Dan on his Instagram and Twitter. Follow some of his photos.
His
website too.
Portfolio, and then Lower Light just set up their website, right?
We just rebranded everything.
Yeah, Lower Light Photography.
Yeah, so I mean, like if you guys ever have, like you guys do weddings and stuff like that too.
Yeah,
dude.
All that stuff, man.
Yeah, so if you're getting married or have a special event, Dan's the man. He takes really good pictures.
Yeah, I mean, look at the picture he took for our podcast. I have 3 more I got to put up, but like our profile picture for the podcast came out.
That was
by Dan.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it came out great. It really did. All right, so yeah, everyone have an awesome Sunday, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.